Hello and welcome back to another episode of Talking with Tanya. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about leadership, what I think it takes to be a leader, what I think makes a good leader, stories from my past that made me feel like maybe I was meant to be a leader, and stuff of that sort. But before we get into today's episode, I wanted to share something exciting. And you may have heard me say this before in other episodes if you're a returning watcher, but I'm officially looking for an unpaid intern. Someone to kind of help me grow Talking with Tanya. I want to be really clear about what I'm looking for because I don't want just anybody. I want the right person. You don't need experience. I'm not looking for like a professional or anything, or someone who has everything figured out because I've been doing this for a while myself and I don't necessarily feel like I have everything figured out. What I am looking for is someone who genuinely loves personal growth, who loves challenging themselves and wanting to become a better version of themselves, someone who's into like health, wellness, astrology, creativity, storytelling. You don't necessarily have to be in all those things, but just like someone open to learning and eager to learning. And who's curious about how content and community get built from the ground up. So this role would involve helping with things like social media, podcast promotion, organizing content, brainstorming ideas, and possibly supporting future projects as they unfold. It's very hands-on, it's very real. You'd be learning by doing. This is probably a good fit if you're someone who's creative, reliable, self-motivated, someone who enjoys learning, doesn't need to be micromanaged, and actually feels excited by the idea of growing something alongside another person. Me. And just to be honest, this might not be the best fit for you if you're looking for something super structured, corporate or step by step right away. This is more like fluid, intuitive, and collaborative. If it sounds like you can fill out the application form I have linked in the description below. I am really excited to find someone who feels aligned and wants to grow together. Okay, now I want to move on to some life updates. So I've been trying to get some coworkers to come out and play basketball with me. It's a little crazy, but I actually really love my job. And it's weird to say that because it's like a customer service job, and like years ago I would have like I hated these type of jobs. So like to like see who I am now and how I've changed, and like now how I enjoy, the type of job that I do, or the type of work that I do. It feels like it's starting to feel more and more fulfilling, because I think one thing that is one of like my core values is building relationships and building bonds and helping people become better versions of themselves. So I just I so that's why I kind of want to try and get people to come out and play basketball with me, my coworkers. And I feel like there's been a little bit of tension at work lately, and people butting heads and stuff like that. But for me personally, I'm kind of just trying to build the familial energy in our work environment. And sometimes families fight, and that's okay. And not everybody sees each other like that, but I'm hopeful. And yeah, I've already had a few people come out, and it's been fun. So I'm just trying. That's all. I know it's a little bit cheesy, but I genuinely enjoy my job, and I would prefer if everybody were to get along. Another thing that I've been working on is my bingo card. So if you saw the last episode, I brought up that every year, well, since last year was the first year, but starting last year, every year now, my family and I build bingo goal cards to where we write 8 easy goals, 8 medium, and 8 hard. And we put it on this card, and as throughout the year you're working your goals, you complete it, you can cross it off your bingo card. And if you get the goals in a specific order, you can get bingo. But for me personally, my goal is to like do all of them, because they're goals. You don't write them down just so you don't complete them. But it's crazy because last year no one got bingo, which is kind of crazy. But hopefully this year somebody does. People always ask me, what do you get when you get bingo? I'm like, nothing. You become more successful, more accomplished. But I do like the idea of having a prize at the end of this, so I'll maybe bring it up to them again. But yeah, so some of the goals I've been working on my bingo card are I scheduled an appointment with the dentist. I know, no big deal, but for me, like, I hate doing stuff like that. So the goal is to go to the doctor and the dentist this year. And so I scheduled that, and then at work I have 30 minutes on for a break, and I realized that I spend a lot of that time just being on my phone. So I'm just like, I could use this time wisely to have it used to do something productive. And so I decided, since one of my goals is to read 5 books this year, I decided to bring a book to work now. So now I read on my break. And What else? Oh, the weather has just been gorgeous lately. I love this warm weather. You know, I used to be a winter person, but now I think I'm a spring and summer. I love gardening, and one of my goals is to grow potatoes and carrots this year. And I don't if you guys seen my podcast before. I every time when I have guests on my show, I always go outside and film because we get to do it on the picnic table. There's more room. It's just more comfortable, and that's like my sanctuary. That area, you know, I have like my hammock there, and that's where I grow my gardens. And so what I have to do is pull out a bunch of weeds. I'm not looking forward to that. But I have to prep the ground for, you know, it's just starting to warm up already, so I have to already prep the ground for my new plants. And I have to figure out like some sort of garden bed situation because I need something like big and deep for my potatoes and my carrots. So we'll see how that goes. I'll figure it out for how expensive it's gonna cost me. um, another one of my goals is to go skydiving, and I was supposed to take my brother for his birthday, but I don't know. It's a little scary the more I think about it, and it's also very pricey. That is also very pricey in itself. And my mom was like telling me like to look into it. You just never know. Like, yes, it's dangerous in the sense where, you know, you can hurt yourself, or, you know, potentially worse than that. Or she was saying something about like really fast going down at a really fast speed can also like harm you in some way. I don't know for a fact, but I want to look into it, and I'm just like, maybe I should list the pros and cons here. I might switch this one for something else. Maybe bungee jumping. I don't know. That was on my last bingo card, so might switch it for that instead. I think that's what I'm working on as of right now for bingo. One of my goals also is to learn 15 new recipes. If you know any delicious recipes, don't hesitate to reach out to me because I want to learn how to cook more things. I love cooking, and delicious, healthy things would be amazing. What's next? Okay, I guess that's it for like my bingo goal card. I don't really have any much more things that I'm working on as of the moment. So now moving on into today's episode, which is about leadership, what it takes to be a leader, how to know if you are one, and the process of trusting yourself when you feel like the whole world is against you, which is a feeling I am very much familiar with. I feel like I have memories of childhood where I feel like I stuck out from the crowd, where I felt alone, where I felt, like I am meant to, now looking back, made more sense to why I became the person I am today. And I gathered 3 stories that I wanted to share of like um, instances where I had to like step up and stand for what I believed in. And there's the first story is one time in elementary school. There was this new girl, right? I think I was in 6th grade. She was a grade below us. And I just remember like rumors were being spread about her, and everyone just kind of collectively decided to dislike her without even getting a chance to know her. People just unanimously agreed that this girl is to be disliked without giving her a chance. And for some reason, that just didn't sit well with me. So I remember I would question, like, what is she really like? Like, I wonder who she is as a person, and like why people dislike her. Like, I wanted to find out for myself. And I remember we were like running laps one day, and I had passed her, and I kept looking back at her. Like, I was just curious about it. I don't remember why I was looking at her. I kept looking back, and I kept thinking, maybe I should talk to her. And I remember looking back another time, and she like looked at me and said, why are you wearing a Halloween? No, she's like, why are you wearing a mask? It's not Halloween. Like basically calling me ugly. I was like, oh my god. I just looked shocked, and I just turned around. Like, I didn't even know what to say to that. I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little spooked. I was never one for like confrontations or like arguments or fights. Like, I just like, I want to avoid it at all costs. But a part of me like sensed like she was just hurt and that she just was defensive, you know. And I made it a point to like go up to her one day and introduce myself and tell her like, I'm willing to give you a chance, you know. Like, I basically told her like, hey, like, I'm sorry you're going through this, I'm sorry people are being mean, but I'm open to being your friend, I'm open to like getting to know you. And yeah, like, like just introducing myself. And she like kind of like looked down and like looks at it, and she's like, thank you, Tanya. Like, and that really like got me. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I wonder why people are being so hard on you. And her mom worked at the school too, so she was always hanging out with her. And I remember one time we volunteered, like, you could volunteer as students to help the lunch ladies and be a lunch aide. And it was 2 of us every time. So finally it was my turn and this other kid. And she was the first to come in because her mom worked there, and she didn't really have friends. She literally had no friends. And she came in line, and by herself before, the rest of the class came in. And she was going down the line, and we're like, as she was coming down, I started to like panic a little bit. Like I started to feel the sense of doom, because the kid I was with goes, "Oh, it's that girl." And when he said that, I was like, "Oh my gosh, like I'm cool with her now. Like, what is she gonna say? What is our interaction gonna be like when she comes up? And how is he going to judge this interaction?" Like, that's what I started to get worried. So then as she came up, she's like, "Hi Tanya, how's it going?" I was like, "Oh hey, like good. Like how are you?" And she's like, "Good." And she like, that was it. Like, it was very brief, and she left. And he goes, "Oh, you're like friends with her?" And I was just like, "Yeah, I don't think she's that bad." And she's like, "No, she's just like gross." I don't know what he said, but he was just like insulting her. And I was just like, I felt like this inner sense of doom. I was like, okay, now I'm gonna get ostracized, for doing what I thought was the right thing to do. And thankfully I didn't. But eventually there was like another scenario with this other girl, like, just that it did end up biting me in the butt a little bit later, but that's a story for another time. And it was just a bad day. But yeah, and she ended up moving schools, and I never really saw her again, so I felt bad for her. Um, and I always just thought to myself, like, I always think back to that story. I was like, oh my gosh, like, as a young kid, I can't believe I did that. And another story was another time in elementary school. Again, I had a close friend, and there was this other new girl. This was a different new girl, and she didn't like my friend. And I was like, uh-oh. I don't exactly remember what their grievances were, but I tried to stay out of it. I was just like, because like, what can I do? And this new girl was scary, because she've already, beat someone up. She already got in a fight with some other girl, like, and she got like suspended for it, and now she's back, and I'm just like, don't mess with her. But she did not like my friend. And I remember that new girl was with her own clique of friends, and she was like bullying my friend, and she was like calling her names, or like literally talking out loud bad about her, to where she can hear, within hearing distance. And I'm like right next to her, and we're all walking towards class. I think she like threw water at her or something. And I was just like, man, I should say something. And my friend was like, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And now, uh, then eventually the new girl's friend hopped in and said something. And I was like, okay, now I can't have them ganging up on you. So then I decided to speak up, and hey, I said, why are you saying something when this has nothing to do with you? I don't know where that came from. But I think if one thing like really motivates me to act, one feeling that really motivates me to act like any other, is injustice. I can't stand the feeling of injustice, man. It turns me up. But so then they kind of got quiet, because they didn't expect that from me. I was such a quiet kid, and they didn't expect that from me. And then I was like nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, now I'm on her radar. I hope I'm gonna be like, I hope this doesn't come back to bite me in the ass either. And I remember I think it was like lunch the next day. They invited me over to sit with them, and I was like, oh, another sense of impending doom. I'm just like, what did I get myself into? And she just talked to me and asked like, hey, like, why did you come at my girl like that? And then just like, well, because you guys are coming at my girl like that. And she like, I feel like she understood my side, and she saw where I'm coming from, and it actually helped like ease the tension. I think I don't quite remember exactly what happened, but I feel like that's what happened. And yeah, nothing happened to me, so I'm okay. Or my friend, we're okay, no fights. And then so that was like a story that I think back on and reflect. And there's another story, right? So this was high school. This one was a little bit. High school was not fun at all. Oh, uh, this one was a little bit more, I think, out there, right? And so I was in this leadership program, right, where there's like higher ranking people, and we would sometimes go as groups to like football games and cheer on our team and stuff. And there would be like a specific leader to help with the chants, and lead the people and guide them and what we're gonna go and say and do. And I auditioned to do it. And I remembered the chants, because there's a specific script. I remembered them. I showed up on time, and I feel like I gave it like my best shot. And unfortunately for me, someone else showed up. He was late. He didn't remember the chant. He didn't remember the chants, and he got it. He got the position, and that didn't sit right with me. But like, what was I to do? Favoritism was such a prominent thing in this program, and I was given an opportunity to speak up about it. I was surprised, and like I think later in the week there was a prompt that said, what would you change about the program if you could? Like, what needs to be fixed? And I wrote out the situation where it had happened in detail and all that. And I remember having like the top person in charge like come up to me and say, you know what, like, I agree with you. I read your paper and I agree. But unfortunately, there's nothing that we can do about that. It's just like, what? Okay, I guess. And I remember telling a girl super close to me that what I had did and what I wrote, and she told me, "Why would you do that? Now you're gonna get her in trouble." And I'm like, it made me self doubt. It made me think myself, and like I was just like starting to feel like maybe I did the wrong thing. But looking back, I know I did the right thing, and it's crazy because it was so common for people to think like that, and I felt very alone in my thinking. I felt, yeah, it just felt very lonely growing up sometimes because I didn't feel like I had other people that thought similarly or like believed strongly about things like that, like I did. But yeah, so now I think like being a leader, and especially thinking like that at such a young age, it's like it blows my mind a little bit. Like I didn't, a lot of kids didn't think the way that I did, and it's especially at that age, it's so easy to be a follower, but in being a leader, being different involves walking a path alone sometimes. So I didn't choose this for myself. It just kind of that strong, inner voice in me. I guess I've always had that. I don't know. And I feel like when we think of a leader, we have like there's a positive connotation to it. Like we just assume, oh, he's the leader, we must listen at all costs. But it's like sometimes people are put into leadership positions that aren't necessarily the right fit for the role. And our leaders aren't just like the people in office. It's like also our teachers, parents, coaches, mentors, bosses, or even our friends. Just like if you're somebody who looks to someone for direction, the person you're looking to for direction is the leader. And sometimes I like even within friend groups, I feel like I did stuff or said stuff that I wasn't necessarily proud of afterwards, and I would reflect and think like that isn't me, and it just wouldn't sit right. So that's why I think I had such a hard time fitting in with people. um I had my fair share of tyrannical leaders too. Like I remember in second grade, like my second grade teacher screamed in my face because I wasn't understanding the material. And I remember like the whole class going dead silent, and I just like started to cry because it's like what else do I do? Like, oh my gosh, you just embarrassed me and you're making me feel like I'm worthless, I guess. Like I'm dumb, I don't know. And then also my parents, they're supposed to like lead you to be, they're the leaders in your life to help you grow to be, a successful member of society. And which I feel like my parents did somewhat of a good job with me. I mean, look how I turned out. But I do feel like I did have too many responsibilities as a child. So that just kind of made me overly independent at times and too self reliant and afraid to ask for help. And yeah, so that's okay. What are you gonna do? The majority of bosses I've had in the workforce have also treated me unfairly. There's been times, oh my gosh, I can't even. Ugh, thinking back, oh my gosh, like I can't do 9 to 5. I can't. And the thing, the amount of injustice like workers endure is kind of crazy. And there's so many times where I didn't speak up. Eventually, slowly, I grew into myself to where I'm done getting treated like this. Like this is ridiculous, because I think if you voice, your integrity in the right way, then to where in a way that makes sense, people are going to be like, oh my gosh, like you are getting mistreated, you are being disrespected, why are we doing things this way? Like start to question the morality of the leaders, and they start to look bad. And it's like gotta there's power in numbers too. If you like talk to people and think like, hey, like this isn't right, I'm going to speak up about it. And you can either support me or you can just keep going with the way things are going. But like for example, I remember one time in a grocery store I worked, oh my gosh, I asked this manager if she can like switch my schedule. I think I wanted more mornings, and she was always putting me to close. And I'm just like, what the heck, man? Like, why am I, like I want to open too. She's like, well, I don't know if I can do that for you. And she kept cutting me off. She's like, I don't know if that's possible. Well, you put your availability that you're available at this time, so I don't know what you want me to do. And I was just like, okay, like it's fine, never mind. tell me why my schedule changed to mornings, but to work closer with her. And I was like, oh, hell no. So she's like, I thought this was what you wanted. And I'm just like you made it seem like I wasn't gonna get it. So why are you giving it to me now? Like, and why do you have to talk to me like this? Like, I hate when I'm getting belittled. She belittled me so much. I am a human being. Like, I want to be respected, and like, I don't know. I don't why. My question is why. If there's a better way to go about things to get the results that you want, why not choose this better way? Why go this way? That's just how I see things. But anyways, I finally spoke up, and another manager at that same store ended up grabbing my arm because like she wanted me to like move the bag. She like moved my arm to the bag to a lady who was gonna eat here instead of to go. So that's why I didn't give her the bag. But then my manager had like grabbed my arm to grab the bag and hand it to her, and I was like, that's weird. I ended up telling on her, and they still put me to work close to her after the fact. But I was like, this is crazy. So it was like I put my 2-week notice without having another job lined up because I was like, this is such a toxic environment. Nothing's getting done. And they asked me what my reason for quitting was. And I said, toxic workplace environment, disrespect, this and that. And, I ended up coming back to see my coworkers, see if anything's changed. Nope, everything's the same. And that's what they tell me at least. And I was like, wow, like even me speaking up didn't change anything. It's kind of crazy. But there was another coworker who would constantly like talk back to one of the managers, and maybe that's the way to go because he was like a top performing employee, like he was always getting things done. So it's like, so what are you gonna do? Like fire him because he's being disrespected? Like that doesn't make sense because he's like in the right. And I didn't think of it like that. Like sometimes we have more power than we realize, and we just like give it to other people. So but as you can see from my childhood stories, the inner voice in me can't stand one feeling more than others. And I've already said this, injustice. And since then, it's only gotten stronger. This like inner voice of me to like want to stand up against injustice. So sometimes I think good leadership is shaped through witnessing bad leadership, learning firsthand what not to become. After many negative experiences, I finally learned to stand my ground and speak up for myself in a way that's respectful, of course. One time I was freshly new at this other job, and I was still learning the job. It was like maybe day 2, 3, like it's crazy new, right? And this boss of me was consistently criticizing my performance because we were so busy. And I felt like I was I personally feel like I was giving it my all, trying my best. Like I have such a hardworking work ethic. So I was giving my all. But can you imagine like already giving it your best effort and someone telling you it's not good enough? Like, how do you begin to think? I started to doubt myself, question myself more, take longer. I made more errors. And if it was my boss's goal to make me more effective, it did the opposite. So that's why I think your approach matters. And not everybody learns the same way. I think that's another important thing to like have as a good leader is to know to change your approach with everybody, different people, because people learn in different ways. And I like to take people's emotions into consideration because that can fog, that can cloud your judgment, that can, like I said, make you put you in a space that's going to cause you to make more errors. So that's just something that I've learned from poor leadership on the other side. So what I think makes a good leader now is here are some like good points. I feel like this is from my personal experience, so this is my personal opinion. But I think what makes someone a good leader is someone who thinks of others. What I just said, right? Who genuinely wants to help people become the best versions of themselves. I think in any case, like if you want, where performance matters, right? Whether it be work, school, your children. Like if you want them to perform, in order for them to perform at optimal level, I think they have to be the best versions of themselves. And so that's why I think it's important to get to know them, to understand them, and to see how, in what way best helps them. So I think that's why that's important. Someone who wants to better themselves. So I think leaders are always working hard to better themselves. I consider myself a leader, so I'm always trying to understand things, systems, people, situations, and myself too, myself even. So, because I want to better myself. And I think that's what's ultimately like helping me become a good leader. Someone who can stay calm during chaos is another one. I think oh, I've talked once when it said like if shit hits the fan, if things are getting hectic and you see that one person calm during the chaos, that's your leader. Because if you're like you know, frantic and you're like chaotic too along with everybody else, you're just like worried, fearful, panicking, you're not going to think clearly and you're not going to make the best decisions. So someone who can stay calm and steady during the chaos, like they are actually thinking things through, and that's your leader. Someone who is open minded and can see multiple perspectives. I love this one because I feel like I love seeing different perspectives. I'm always open to like hearing other people out because I am humble and I believe that I don't know everything. So I'm always open to learning more. And I personally feel like you can learn something from anybody, whether it be like a kid, an old person, someone my age, college student, teacher, pastor, just anybody. You can learn from people's personal experiences. And so that's why I always try to keep multiple perspectives. uh, I always try to be open to multiple perspectives. Another quality is someone who is self-led and can find solutions to problems. So I think someone who takes charge, who like is a self-starter, who's like, I'm not gonna wait for anybody to solve this problem. I'm gonna handle this by myself. And I think I learned this from when I was young because like I feel like a lot of problems were put on me to kind of solve. And back then it was very like overwhelming, but now I'm at a point to where I'm like, okay, what's the problem? What's the issue? I've already processed this. I've been upset for like two minutes, sad or whatever. Now it's time to actually solve this problem. What's going on? And there's a quote that I've read that I love, right? It says that life is always going to have problems. You might as well learn to be happy while solving them, because like why stress? You're just going to you can either stress and solve the problem, or you can either just like, go, let's figure this out, team. Let's get it. um, so I think, yeah, when you're self-led, it's like you're putting yourself in a position to where you're thinking of solutions. I'm gonna sit here and set time aside to look at all the details, right? Know all the facts, learn all the facts, and figure out a way to move forward. What's the result that I want, and what's the best way to get there? And that's all you got to do. This is a good one. I think another thing that makes a good leader is someone who commit when they're wrong. Oh my gosh, I've seen so many prideful leaders and like, I'm right, you're wrong, and it's like even when they're dead wrong. And I feel like people lose respect for those type of people. They stop listening as much. They stop trying, and because who wants to work for somebody like that? Especially if you're like work under them and you're the one who's right. And I'm gonna get out of here. What the heck are we even doing? Um, yeah, I've come across so many people like this, and I'm just like, it's frustrating because, especially if you care about doing the right thing, how do you work with somebody like this? And it's important to stay humble. And it's definitely an uncomfortable feeling admitting you're wrong, especially if someone in a sort of position, like a position of power. It's like, because you're supposed to be seen as the person who's supposed to get it all right, but that's not always the case. So this is something that I've learned to also sit with. I feel like my life kind of includes a lot of uncomfortable, being uncomfortable after being uncomfortable situations. So I almost feel like I'm comfortable being uncomfortable at this point. So yeah, I've kind of just learned to like sit with, because this is something I struggled with at one point in my life, right? As younger kid, when you fight with your siblings and you're like, I'm right, even though you're wrong. Like, I'm gonna sit with this and take it to the grave, even though I know I'm wrong. Because I feel like with enough confidence and enthusiasm, you're gonna listen to me, even though you did wrong. But I think what helped me to overcome this is to kind of sit with the uncomfortable feeling and be like, just admit you're wrong. Admitting it. The uncomfortable part is in the admission of it. And you're gonna learn by doing. So yeah, it's gonna feel uncomfortable, but when you decide to put yourself out there and tell them, and even like for example, my siblings tell me, I told you so. Like, it's not what you want to hear, but you know what? I'm the type of character that can do this, so I feel like you have a lot to gain by doing so. Um, Now I want to talk about what my gift is, my leadership style, how I talk to people. And I think I'm a different type of leader, as in I care about people's emotions. I care about my relationships. I feel like I have a gift of emotional intelligence. I feel like I can understand people's emotions without anything really being said. And I'm consistently trying to understand people, their boundaries. I've even learned to stay steady and centered when encountering unpleasant emotions from others, whether that be like towards a switch situation or directed towards me. I learned to like understand that this is people are emotionally reactive, and it's just like I like to be like the safe, grounded, presence to where I help people feel regulated. Like, hey, like it doesn't have to be like this. It's okay, take a breather. Um, like what's going on, Or sometimes it's not even about like the situation or, or me or something I did. It could be like what's going on at home. They're bringing or in their lives. They're bringing that to like the situation or the problem, and it's hard. So it's like sometimes I'm just like, and that's where emotional intelligence comes in. I'm like, I see that you're having a hard time dealing with this. Let me take over. I think a good leader um, learns to take over in situations when it requires it. When you can clearly see that the person is not in the my right mental headspace to be able to handle it, and sometimes leaders have to take on more than their fair share. But if they can handle it, it's just the skills that I was gifted to have. If I can handle it, I'm gonna do it. Sometimes I feel like, and that's the thing at work. Like I feel like not just the job I have now, but like just like in any jobs, like in multiple jobs, I feel like I've been have given the opportunity to move up in positions and take an authoritative role. But I feel like the type of leader I am kind of clashes with the one that the role fits. Like very cold, unemotional, structured, corporate, talk. Like I just and I care about my relationships, so I like worried about building tension with people that I building relationships with. And I don't know, maybe that might make me a better leader, but I just feel like my values, like my integrity towards the job, like what my standards, I feel like they would clash with other people's. Like I believe in doing a good job and doing things the right way and taking an extra time to build quality, products. And not everybody sees it like that. So I feel like if I were to push that, people would, build tension with me. And so that's why I'm more so okay with just like taking on more than my fair share. Like I don't care, Yeah, there's a lot to do, and you want me to do it? I don't care. Yeah, this person like was slacking today. I don't care. I'm just here. I always love having something to do. I don't care. That's just how I see it, So, um, I love talking to people. I love interacting with people, and so that's why I think I differ from the other people, and why I feel like I'm like a different type of leader, I guess. I noticed that I can also relate to so many different type of people. I was thinking about this the other day. I feel like I've lived a variety of social experiences that I've learned to talk to all kinds of people. And it kind of surprised me, like I said the other day about it. I was like, I can literally go from like, what's up, fool? What's going on, homie? And peace out, man. To hey girly, how's it going? I like it's crazy. I'm so multifaceted. Like I can change my approach depending on the person's personality, and but um I don't see it like necessarily as a bad thing. It's just or like a multiple personality thing. I think it's more so just different aspects of me, and uh how even though I have different parts to my personality that made me question who I am, I I think deeper about it, and I always show up with the same values and the same principles no matter who I'm talking to. Like my integrity is still there, That's the kind of leader I am. I still like to create the safe space. I like to create, you know uh deeper connections. I like to build it on authenticity, and you're always going to find that from me, and I think that's what makes a good leader is leading by example, setting the example, modeling, for others. And I just kind of show that I don't care what people think about me. I'm just myself regardless, And I think that's what helps bring out other authenticity in other people. It helps them feel safe with me. And I care about my relationships. So I care about them. I create safe spaces. I let people be themselves. and I lead from an internal moral compass. I feel like I'm always striving to do what's right, for everybody. And I adapt my communication style without losing my integrity. I integrate and I move forward. So, and what I mean by that is like I lead by doing. Now I lead by doing. I find myself finding meaning in everything, and this is sometimes I feel like, oh, I'm gonna run out of like content ideas. I don't know what to talk about on here anymore. And I'm just like, there's something in my life happens to where I'm like, whoa, like I see this situation differently, or like I've learned something here, I could talk about this through people, situations, feelings. I'm not perfect. Sometimes I do find myself having conflicting values, like which one do I choose here? Is whether it be like loyalty to a friend, protecting my peace, or speaking from integrity, like which one do I choose? So that's why I think it's important to pause and think things through and then decide. But the best way to learn is by doing. And if it was the wrong thing to do, that is not something that I'm going to do again. Um, so I think that's it for today's episode on leadership. I hope it provided some value to you guys. If you have any stories from yourselves, about like a childhood story, just like a time where you wish you spoke up or where you did and it like turned out the wrong way. Yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys. So I appreciate it if you made it this far, and thank you for listening. Take care of yourself. Peace out.